Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome everyone to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I got to say that right, you audience that know me. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm thrilled to have you join us today because I got a special show. I spent 10 minutes with the guest today, and you're going to love this guy. Absolutely love them, because we developed this show, this podcast, to explore the idea of in your business, in your life, of being a servant, being a servant's heart, and making an impact and difference in people's lives, and taking these guests who are going to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you on ways you can do that. I'm blessed because I'm the host. I get to learn from all my hosts. I've already learned a ton from my guests today, but you could do the same thing and make a difference in your life and in your world. How cool is that? And also, here's your homework today, audience. I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and serve others today. Learn from my podcast guest today and take it and run with it and serve other people. Imagine the impact you're going to make with that. I truly want to thank my sponsor today, Pantheon. Join a community of high-income entrepreneurs and business leaders who are creating this world-changing thought leader platform to help not only grow your business, but to grow others inside the world of business. For more information, just let me know and I'll get you all the information on that, or go check the show notes. I keep thinking SCORE because we're going to talk about SCORE here. Can't forget that. Well, I'm going to bring my guest on. I'm not even going to do a monologue about him because he's going to tell you all about it. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Pleasure to be here.
Well, we've been talking about your book. I don't usually start with a book, but what's your life score? Talk about that, because, and thank you for sending me the book, and audience, we'll talk about how to get the book later. What inspired? What's it all about?
Yeah, no, sure. So it goes back 20 years, something you might do, people might do at the end of the year. I kind of assess how my year went. So I look at, how did my career go? How did my job go? How did my finances go? How did my relationships go? How did my relationship with my wife go, right? And I would score myself kind of 0 to 10 in all these areas. And I started doing it with my kids. I got 4 kids. They're now, and they're just, youngest one just turned 20. And 22, actually, time flies. And I started doing it with them, basically to try to transfer this concept of, hey, you have to have balance in your life. You have to pay attention to your health, wealth, but also your relationships, have purpose, have growth. So I said, I've been an entrepreneur before. I've been in the software industry. Why don't I build an app that actually calculates that life score for you based on a series and assessment of questions? So I wrote the book, what's your life score? There's actually two scores. There's a Zen score. It takes 2 minutes, Steve. If you want, the Zen score is a free app. Go to my website, goodlife.com. You answer 11 questions. It's how you feel about your life. How do you feel about your health and fitness? How do you feel from 0 to 10 about your friendships? How do you, and that one is really quick. It gives you a pulse of what you think. The life score is more like 20 minutes. It's like a credit rating. It's like 100 questions. There's like 14 finance questions. Are you saving 10% of your paycheck every week? Is your mortgage less than 25%? Do you have a retirement fund, right? For health, do you stretch 3 times a week? Is your blood pressure, right? So these are kind of best practices. It's almost like a playbook for life. And you take this diagnostic, are you doing these best things? And it spits out a score from 0 to 1,000 of what your life score is.
Yeah. I like to mention the credit score. We do that for our bill, financial. Now this is life, which is much more important than finances are important, but life's bigger, right?
Right. And I think of course, the entrepreneurs out there, you're trying to align with some macro trend, and there's no doubt they're gamification, the 20 somethings, the whole point system. How many points do I have? How do I point? How can I get to, 80 or 90 points from at 60? So I think there's a gamification play here for my business as well that makes it kind of fun.
And the book also will too, once you do the score, it will teach you how to improve those scores, correct?
Yeah, of course, right? So, I mean, the questions are kind of a workbook kind of guide built into the assessments, right? So if your score is you don't know what 529 401k and IRA are, and you score yourself a 1 in just knowing financial literacy, the only way to get higher in that score is go understand what those investment tools are for your family. And then you come back and now your score is a 7 or 8 in that one question out of 100, right? So it basically implies what you need to do, to improve your score in each specific diagnostic.
It sounds like the cool thing is you make yourself accountable by take the test today, take it a month or 2 months, whatever time frame you suggest or people do, like weighing yourself. You want to see if we're losing weight, weigh yourself every 5, 6 weeks, whatever that is. Same thing with the life score, right?
Yeah, no. In fact, at first, when I launched the product a year ago, I was going after individuals. Hey, self-assess yourself. What I'm realizing now is I have a bunch of users who've come to me actually who are life coaches, and they're actually using as an engagement tool with their clients. Hey, let's start off our engagement. Let's have coffee. Fill out your Zen score, life score. Let's see where you are. If you're at 62 here, let's get you to 80 here. So all of a sudden, because I mean, it's kind of, the business is kind of touchy-feely now, life coaches, and the only real good life metric, and it's not even good, is kind of money, right? What do you have for house, cars, investments? That's how you measure someone's success. Yet, relationships, health, all these other things are in purpose, are probably just as important, if not more important. So this score now finally gives these coaches like a number. You're here, let's get you to here. Right? It's kind of, everyone loves a score or a report card or, a scorecard.
Yeah, unless they're bad, but that's good because they're bad. You got work to do. No, it's still good.
Yeah.
What it sounded like, Bill, what I really love about this is in business with KPIs, key performance index. This is your life KPI, right?
Yeah. Okay. So now you kind of know my secret. I didn't invent balanced scorecards, right? It's something I came across in the business world, right? Sales, marketing, engineering, your finances, right? You have to have a balanced company. And the same thing with life, right? You need to manage it like a business, which has KPIs, right? So your KPIs in health might be obviously your heart rate, your blood pressure, your weight, and all those things. Your financial KPIs are easy, right? It's your net worth and and things like that. Your relationships, that one's a little trickier, right? How many friends do you have? But for me, and I didn't say this, I think it was Warren Buffett who said that. He thinks the best life metric for that is, in the end, how many people love you. It's that simple, right? I mean, did you have a life where you had these quality relationships, loved you, right? And that's a simple KPI you can measure. Some people have none, some people have 100. It's kind of a good indicator of the types of relationships you built in life.
The KPI is important for business. It is a game changer. They could go bankrupt or be very successful. So if you want to be successful in life, we're going to let you know how to get the book later. But I want to talk about your transition to entrepreneurship at 50. Now, people hearing that are like, oh, Bill, are you local? Are you crazy? I don't think you are, but how was that transition?
Yeah, no, it's been, first of all, I've been really fortunate, right? I happened to land in software as a 20-year-old, and software eats the world, right? So I was the head of corporate marketing for a bunch of high-tech companies. I got acquired by Oracle, even did a sabbatical. So when I was the last time I got acquired was by PTC. I took a year off. My kids, two were in high school, one was in middle school. I coached AAU basketball. It was a great break. But I wasn't ready to retire, but I didn't want to go back to the corporate world, right? I just didn't, I wasn't ready for that treadmill, that grind. So I came across an old friend. He was starting this green business company, two employees. I love this concept. Green Business Bureau had a great brand name that they bought, assess companies for being green, which was, I'm like, yeah, my kids are so into recycling and solar, like this is a great cause. So it was kind of a why, as well as, something that was challenging. So long story short, we took it from 0 to 3,000 plus customers, and we sold it 2 years ago. I was the third co-founder there. They were already well along, so I came in late for marketing. My new entree is solopreneur, I think is the buzzword, right? Which is I launched Good Life all by myself about a year ago. And I love it. I got no one to blame but myself. I'm accountable for everything. It's the ultimate chess match against the world, right? There's nothing more challenging. But I don't mind getting up at 6:30 and trying to figure this out. It's like exciting. And, I still balance my life with my kids, my leisure and all that. But I definitely found, and my why, it's so important. My why is so easy for Good Life. Like life is hard, like people need help. And if my scorecard could be a way that helps them self-assess themselves and see where they're strong and weak and what they need to work on, that's a good cause, right? So I can see myself never retiring, to be honest with you. I just had this conversation with someone who was struggling with kind of ageism, didn't think he could get back into the workforce, and he was just turned 60. I said, the irony is I'm in my 50s. I'm probably the most valuable I've ever been. I have the most expertise, most skills. I still have energy. Company would be crazy, not to hire someone, like you and I, who have been there, done that, can really help a lot of people.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Audience, take that note. That's a powerful note that you just put out there. Transitioning, what's one tip? I have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this. What's one positive tip that you learned transitioning to the entrepreneur that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, the cost is just way different than 10, 20 years ago when I was helping other startups put in, a database system, a CRM system. Literally, I have all these marketing automation, email. I have all these single user licenses that are literally a couple dollars a year. So the startup cost, cloud storage, the startup cost, a website, you can, build a website now with AI in a few hours. It used to be $10,000 to hire a creative director and to build a simple site. And now you can just describe it in words and have it build. So I would say, if you're not comfortable with the technology, there's a lot of people who are, but the cost of standing up some kind of digital business, online business, it's just night and day now. I mean, I've been able to do this bootstrapping it, no angel investors, just my own money, and testing it. A lot of it you can do testing a lot of these concepts, before you invest and scale up, right? Just put yourself out there and see if you got something.
Yeah, you got a need. And I tell 20 to 30 year olds that I work with, best opportunity in the world. Because when I was 20, I'm 63, way up. And nothing against that. That's just the world back then.
Yeah.
Today, you absolutely nailed it, Bill,
Yeah.
because they're out there. And every 20 to 40 year old, you don't need to have your own business. But if you're thinking about even just a side gig, you work at some company full time, and on the weekends, you want to do something almost no cost to start a business.
Yeah. And that's another tip I'd give, which was not making money. You can get a little nervous about no income coming in, right? When you start a company. So I did end up taking some fractional CMO jobs, right? Where it was small companies who couldn't afford a full-time marketing exec or head of executive, but for 10 hours a week, I can really help them with their strategy, plan, execution, operations, all that. So that kind of offsets a little bit of that ramp up period where you're getting no money from your startup, but still leveraging what you do. What did I do for 25, 30 years ago? Marketing. So in essence, you could create a whole business about just being a fractional CMO.
Yeah.
I didn't go down that path, but a lot of people our age could actually go off on their own and sell their expertise and services, as a business.
Expertise you can sell so easily now. And I'm glad you made that point. I'm going to reiterate that, audience. If you work at 8 to 5, want to do a side gig, don't quit your 8 to 5 until you've replaced your income. Such a great point, Bill, because I talked, one lady, she quit her job to be a realtor. Well, in California, that's going to be pretty hard because every home has 15,000 realtors trying to sell it. Not saying you can't, and I'll never say you can't. We can do anything, but thank you for sharing that, because entrepreneurs need to hear that. If you got to get a side gig for 20 hours a week to pay your bills, it'll pay for itself in 6 months. We're not saying forever. So I'll get off my bandwagon because this is your show. I got to talk about Good Life more because it's such a great name. Hey, audience, raise your hand out there if you want a good life. You're all raising your hands. Talk about it.
Yes. So, of course, I'm biased. I've been doing marketing for high-tech companies. Ironically, I learned a lot of the tricks of the trade from a board member on one of my high-tech companies who was from Procter and Gamble, right? And he gave me analogies of like toothpaste and packaging, and how important that was. I think it's going to be more important than ever in terms of how people are going to decide what companies they use, right? What that company stands for, whether they can trust them or not, because the technology is moving so fast, it's leveled the playing field for what you can actually build in terms of technology, services, and things like that. It's going to be the brand and the why that I think could stand us apart. I don't want to say this, but I don't have and it makes me nervous. I don't have a huge technology moat. I don't have a, PhD in rocket science kind of secret sauce here. What I am going to create though is a brand. When people think of an assessment or, my moonshot is, imagine I'm sitting in a restaurant 5 years from now and I overhear, hey, what's your life score? What's your life score? Right. All of a sudden now, wow, I've created something about a trusted brand where a score I invented, people are using, right? So this is definitely a brand play. Ironically, the brand name, I didn't steal it, but there's a book that came out a few years ago. I don't know. Have you read The Good Life from the 2 Harvard professors?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So for those who will go off tangent just for a second, there's been a study for about 90 years of 3,000 grads from Harvard, and they've been studying happiness, longevity, health, and fulfillment across these 3,000 families through all these generations. And the number, and so they called it The Good Life. Let's find out what it takes to live the good life. And that was the name of the book. The number one indicator, KPI by far, was relationships. In who your inner circle was, who your partner was, who your friends were, could actually add 10 years to your life, as compared to all the other things that you do in life. So it was eye-opening that the social aspects of your life might be the best indicator of your health and longevity. But anyways, those guys based it on science, data, tracking these families, for 3 generations, and they wrote, The Good Life, right?
It's a great story.
And the reason of course I love the brand, but the good it's a double meaning, right? So Good Life, you can think of, I've got a membership at the country club and a Beamer, and I'm going, but Good Life to me is doing good, right? Living, giving back, doing good for the greater society. So for me, that good is both a good life and a good life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We're coming to the end here. I don't want to forget the help grow. Tell us the acronym, what it means, what people can get.
Yeah. So it's the foundation of the life score. So again, I wasn't a coach. I thought I invented these categories, and then as I started talking to coaches, there's this concept called the wheel of life. I don't know if you could seal it, right? That a lot of life coaches use that say there's a balance across all these categories. Because I had defined these categories, and I'm like, oh, of course it was a good idea, but I wasn't the first. But what I did do is come up with a nice framework in mnemonic. HELPGROW. H is for health, right? That's the first category. How's your health? E is your environment, your home and around you. L is leisure. What are you doing for downtime? P is for purpose, right? You clearly need something to get you up in the morning. G is for growth. I mean, hopefully you're a lifelong learner. You have to grow. It's just a human need. The R is for relationships. Of course, we just talked about how important that is, probably the most important. The O is for occupation, what you're doing with your career. And the W is your wealth. And those 8 categories spell help grow. So for me, it's an easy way to always, if I'm doing kind of a mindfulness exercise and asking myself how I'm doing, I might just step through those 8 letters and how am I doing my health? How am I doing my environment? That's the whole point of the book and the mobile app and the app. When you go to do that Zen score, it's making you stop and think, and create some self-awareness of your situation and kind of reflect on life rather, it forces you to kind of reflect on your life.
And that's important. We don't do enough of that. I don't. You just reminded me. What I love about that acronym, you might have done this on purpose, maybe not. Health is at the top. And like you told me before the show, if you're dead, none of this means anything because you're gone. Hate to be so blunt, but it's true. But you put at the very bottom, wealth.
That's interesting. Thank you for that. I may use that, Steve.
Use it, please, because that's as soon as you went through them, I read them when you showed me before the show, but I only read them very interesting how you're subconsciously put wealth, because it's the bottom. Yeah, we need wealth. We need money, but are your relationships better when you have too much money or not enough money? You can still have great relationships. Can you grow? Yes. I mean, we go across the whole board.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm not naive to think money is not important. You can't do the vacations with your family without some money. And I mean, it's kind of the oil. But that said, I didn't know it till I was older. My father, immigrant from Poland, car mechanic. My mom took care of the 5 kids at home. Like they lived paycheck to paycheck. You would not know that we were trying to decide whether we would make this month's mortgage payment. It was just a happy household and people were always over and it was just a home full of life. Yet we were living paycheck to paycheck. I just give them so much credit for isolating us from that kind of, burden of raising a family on, small income.
And then you flip it, you look at lottery winners and how they're broke in 2 years, literally broke.
Yeah.
Is it making them happy? $1 million? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not everyone. I know there's some lottery winner, but yeah, you flip that and it's so well said. Thank you for that story. Because it's true. You never knew. You never knew your pay. Now everybody knows the social media. We'll get into social media, we won't get there. Maybe we'll come back for that. I'd like to end with a fun question. I would love to learn more about you. So I've got a restaurant reserved for you for a table of 4. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. So the 3 empty chairs, who would you invite, whether they're dead or alive, and what food would you order?
Wow. Okay. So I would say, let's start with my coach who was virtual, Tony Robbins, when I was a young professional. He was kind of my motivator. I think I might invite Thomas Friedman. I don't know. He wrote The World is Flat. He's a New York Times writer. his just perspective on, he's such a smart guy, perspective on the world of what's going on now. I would love to hear him. And then who would be my third guy? Maybe Seth Godin, maybe someone like that, Malcolm Gladwell, someone in the kind of professional development, marketing, who wrote a lot of personal development types of books. Those three. Personally, I'd probably like to go to a nice steak restaurant, probably, and order a good steak. That's probably
sounds great. I have to get a fifth chair because a little steak once in a while never hurt anybody. A little good old rare meat.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Tipping Point Outliers. Some of my favorite books are Malcolm Gladwell, so I'm glad you mentioned great books.
Yeah, no, the whole, I'm looking for my tipping point. Like someone's going to come up with a life score. There's definitely going to be a network effect here if I can get it, but I got to get that tipping point.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you've blessed our audience. You're an incredible guest, but more importantly, you really care. You are a servant's heart, and your business ties to that, really helping people with their life. I really appreciate you spending some time. I know people listening going, how can I get my life score? How can I connect with Bill?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I don't know if they'll remember how to spell my name, but if you, I'm the only Bill Zujewski in the world. So if you go to Amazon and just type in Zujewski, Zujewski, my book shows up, which is nice, which is convenient. But Good Life with 2 I's. .com is my domain, and that's where you start your journey. You can go ahead and download the free ZenScore app and see what your ZenScore is. That aspect is free. If you want some of the other features around goal setting, your life score, your stress score, there's a whole bunch of cool features. Then it goes up to the next version. But start with the free version, check it out. And then I'm also launching an online community for coaches starting next month. So you'll see that on my website as
Beautiful. We'll have all that information on the show notes too, so people have access. Cool. Bill, thank you again. You're really a fantastic guest. And audience, last call to action, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And here's why. These podcasts to me are gifts. You're listening and you have a friend that's a coach and you go, oh my God, you got to listen to Bill. He was just on this podcast. Just share the link. Let them listen 10 minutes, 15 minutes of Bill. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe they learn something from Bill, help grow. I've learned so much from health to wealth. Whatever it may be, that's what podcasts are to me. I know I'm kind of a frontier on this. I think some people are grasping this. That's what it is. It's entertainment with the ability to grow, the ability to impact people. It's the coolest thing in the world. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel or other people's podcasts. Subscribe to them as well. When you find one that resonates with you and you want to share it out. With that being said, me and Bill want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.